Most people over 65 believe the same thing. If a supplement is sitting on the pharmacy shelf, someone official must have checked that it works and that it is safe. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like how the world should work. But here is what nobody tells you. No one checked it before it reached that shelf, and the label is written to sell you, not to inform you. Supplements are regulated as food, not as medicine, so no authority approves them for safety or strength before they are sold. Independent laboratories that test these products routinely find bottles with far more, far less, or even none of what the label promises. The only protection you have is learning to read the label yourself. Today, I am going to show you the 5 things to read on any supplement label, and the one mark that tells you whether to trust a single word of it. And you will not need a medical degree for any of it. The number one thing to look for is a small symbol almost nobody notices, and it decides whether everything else on the label can be believed. Stay with me until the end, because that one can change every bottle you buy from now on. Think about your last trip to buy a supplement. You had a shelf of bright bottles, big promises on the front, and about a minute to choose. You probably picked the one with the biggest numbers or the nicest label. Nobody has ever taught us to turn the bottle over and read the part that actually matters. So we buy the front, and the front is an advertisement. We glance at it, drop the bottle in the basket, and never once read the panel that could protect us. I am not here to sell you a supplement or a brand. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. There is nothing to buy in this video, and every skill I give you tonight works on any bottle, in any shop, for free. The goal is simply to make you the inspector instead of the target, because a supplement label is a billboard on the front and the truth on the back. The front is designed by people who want your money. The back is the small print they are required to print but hope you will never read, and that is exactly where you need to look. So before we start, tell me 2 things in the comments: your age and the name of one supplement you take so we can read its label together. Here is the one idea that unlocks all 5 checks. A supplement is not a medicine that someone approved, it is a product that someone is selling. Nobody inspected it for you, so after 65, you have to become the inspector yourself. And inspecting is a skill, not a talent, which means anyone can learn it in the next few minutes. Picture buying a used car. The salesman's shiny flyer is the front of the bottle, all promises and photographs. But you would never buy on the flyer alone. You would look under the hood and you would ask to see the inspection certificate. Reading a supplement label is exactly that. Look past the flyer, check under the hood, and find the certificate. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows. If this is already making sense to you, tap the like button so more seniors can find it. It is the only thing I will ask of you until the very end. The 5th thing to read is the serving size, the very first line of the supplement facts panel. It quietly tells you how many capsules actually count as one dose. Here is the trap hidden in that little line. The big number on the front, the one that sold you, is almost always the amount in a full serving, and a serving is often 2 or even 3 capsules, not 1. So a bottle of 60 capsules that says 2 per serving is really only 30 doses, and it costs you twice what you thought. And if you take just 1 capsule to save money, you are quietly getting half the amount promised on the front. That doubling is not an accident, it is how the front number is made to look more impressive. This is simply how these labels are built, by design. The front sells you the serving, and the back reveals how many pills that serving quietly takes. So here is what to do. Before anything else, find the line that says serving size and read how many capsules it is. Then do one small piece of arithmetic. Divide the capsule count by the serving size to see how many days the bottle truly lasts. A 90 capsule bottle at 3 per serving is a 30-day supply, not 90. Do this the moment you pick up any bottle, before the price on the front ever tempts you. The mistake people make is comparing 2 products by the price on the front when one may be 3 capsules a serving and the other just 1. If swallowing several large capsules is hard, look for a product with a 1 capsule serving or a liquid or a powder instead. If a serving is more pills than you can comfortably manage, that product is not for you, no matter how good the front looks. Never take extra capsules just to feel you are getting more, because the serving is set at that size for a reason. And if the serving size seems oddly high, treat that as a warning, not a bonus. Pair the serving size with the price and work out the real cost per day, not per bottle. A cheaper bottle that needs 3 capsules a serving can quietly cost far more per day than a dearer one that needs a single capsule. The true price is always per dose. And keep the number one thing in mind as we go, the single seal that tells you whether any of these numbers can be trusted at all. But knowing the serving is only the start. Get that first line right, and the rest of the panel begins to open up. The next number on the label is the one people misread the most, and getting it wrong is how they end up taking far too much. The fourth thing to read is the percent daily value, the little percentage printed next to each nutrient. It tells you how much of a full day's needs one serving actually gives you. Here is where people go wrong. They see a big number like 500% or even 1000% and think more must be better. For most vitamins, it is not better, and for some, it is genuinely dangerous. The fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, are stored in your body and build up, so a huge daily percentage can slowly climb to a harmful level. 100% means one full day's worth, and for most things, that is plenty. These percentages are set by nutrition authorities as the amount a typical person needs in a day. Anything far above 100% is usually the product shouting, not helping. So here is what to do. For each nutrient, read the percent daily value, and be suspicious of anything up in the hundreds, especially for vitamin A, D, E, or K. Aim for products near 100%, unless your doctor has told you that you need more of something specific. Watch for the note that says daily value not established, which simply means no one has set a safe target, so tread carefully. Write your own simple targets on a small card if it helps, so the bright shelf cannot dazzle you. The mistake people make is treating 1000% as a feature worth paying extra for when it is often a reason to put the bottle down. If you already take a prescription of a fat-soluble vitamin like vitamin D, do not stack a second high dose from a multivitamin on top, and ask your pharmacist to check. If a label lists no percentage at all beside an ingredient, that is often a herbal extract with no safe daily figure, so be extra cautious. Never chase a bigger percentage hoping to fix your tiredness faster. And if the numbers confuse you, a pharmacist will read them with you for free. Pair the percent daily value with the blood tests we have talked about before. A number on a label only matters against your real level, so test first, then choose a percentage that fills the gap. The label tells you the dose, but your blood tells you the need. But even the right percentage of the wrong form of a nutrient can pass straight through you. The whole game is absorption, and that is where most cheap bottles quietly fail. The next thing to read is written in small letters inside brackets, and it decides whether the nutrient even works at all. The third thing to read is the form of each nutrient, the name in brackets right after it. That small print is the difference between a nutrient your body can actually use and one that mostly goes to waste. Here is why it matters so much. The very same vitamin or mineral comes in cheap forms and in absorbable forms, and the label quietly tells you which one you are getting. Magnesium oxide is cheap and poorly absorbed, while magnesium citrate or glycinate is gentler and far better used. Vitamin D should say D3, not D2, because D3 raises your level much more effectively. And B12 as methylcobalamin is often easier for an older body to use than the cheaper kind. These differences are well established in nutrition science. The form is not a small detail. It is often the whole difference between a supplement working and doing nothing. So here is what to do. Read the bracketed form after each main ingredient and learn just a few key ones. For vitamin D, look for D3, also written as cholecalciferol. For magnesium, prefer citrate, glycinate, or malate over the cheap oxide. For folate, the form marked methylfolate suits many older adults better than plain folic acid. The mistake people make is buying on the front label alone, never noticing that the cheap form inside will barely absorb. If one form upsets your stomach, the label lets you switch to a gentler one next time, so keep the old bottle to compare. If you take any medication, some forms interact more than others, so let your pharmacist glance at the bracket. Do not pay a premium for a fancy-sounding form you cannot verify, because some of those names are pure marketing. And when in doubt, the simplest well-known form is usually the safe choice. Pair the form with the percent daily value from a moment ago. A modest percentage in a well-absorbed form beats a huge percentage in a form that runs straight through you. Form first, then dose. Remember, the champion is still coming, the one mark that proves the bottle actually contains what the label claims. Everything so far has been building toward it, but the finest form in the world means nothing if the bottle does not truly contain it. You have paid for the nutrient, so it should at least be one your body can take up. The next thing to read protects you from what the makers would quietly rather you skipped. The second thing to read is the warnings box and the other ingredients line, usually the smallest print on the entire label. This is where the makers put what they are required to tell you, but hope you will never actually read. Here is why you never skip it. The other ingredients line lists the fillers, binders, and allergens, things like soy, gluten, lactose, or shellfish, that can affect you even when the active nutrient is perfectly fine. The warnings box lists the interactions and cautions, like keep away if you take a blood thinner or do not use with certain conditions. And the expiry date tucked in nearby decides whether the nutrient inside is even still active. Any one of these three can matter more to you than the headline vitamin itself. These lines are required precisely because they matter to your safety. They are printed small because the maker wants them small, not because they are minor. So here is what to do. Read the other ingredients line for anything you are allergic or sensitive to every single time, because recipes change quietly between batches. Read the warnings box in full if you take any prescription at all, especially a blood thinner, a thyroid pill, or a heart medicine. Check the expiry date and never buy a bottle that will expire before you can finish it. Read it every time, not only the first time, because the recipe can change without any notice. The mistake people make is reading only the big front and never the tiny back, which is exactly where the real risk lives. If you spot an allergen you react to, put the bottle straight back, no matter how good the supplement itself looks. If the warnings mention a drug class you take, do not guess. Ask your pharmacist before you buy it. Take a clear photo of the warnings box to show your doctor if you are ever unsure. And never wave away a warning just because the product is called natural, because natural and safe are not the same word. Pair the warnings box with your own medication list, the one you keep in your purse or your wallet. Hold the two of them side by side, and any overlap becomes a simple question for the pharmacist. The label cannot know your medicines, but you can bring them to it. But every word we have read so far is only as honest as the bottle behind it. It all assumes one thing that is very often not true, that the bottle actually contains what the label claims. The number one thing to look for is the only real proof that it does. The number one thing to look for is a third-party testing seal, a small stamp from an independent laboratory that actually checked the product. It is the single most important mark on any supplement bottle. Here is why it sits at the very top. Supplements are regulated as food, not as medicine, which means no official body checks that the bottle contains what the label claims before it is sold. Independent labs that test these products routinely find bottles with far more, far less, or even none of the ingredients shown on the front. Some have found the wrong ingredient entirely, or hidden contaminants that should never be in there at all. A third-party seal means a separate, independent laboratory opened that product, tested it, and confirmed the label is telling the truth. Think of it as a health inspector's grade in a restaurant window. The menu on the wall can promise anything it likes, but the grade by the door is the part that was actually checked. Without that grade, you are simply trusting the cook. The main independent seals to know are USP, NSF, and Consumer Lab. Each one means a real laboratory verified the contents of the bottle. It is the closest thing to a guarantee that this industry offers. So here is what to do, and it is the simplest yet most powerful check on this whole list. Turn the bottle over and look for one of three marks: USP, which stands for United States Pharmacopoeia, NSF, or a Consumer Lab seal. If you see one, the product has been independently tested to contain what it claims at the amount it claims without dangerous contaminants. If you see none, understand that you are trusting the maker's word alone and choose with that in mind. When two products are otherwise equal, always pick the sealed one, even if it costs a little more. The seal is usually a small round or oval mark, not a big banner, so look carefully near the facts panel. You can also search the USP or NSF website for the exact product to confirm it is listed. For fish oil, herbal products, and anything imported, a seal matters most of all because those are the most often mislabeled. Keep in mind that a seal verifies the contents, not that you personally need the supplement, so the earlier checks still matter. The mistake almost everyone makes is buying the biggest, brightest bottle and never turning it over to find the one mark that truly matters. If you cannot find a seal on the bottle, check the maker's website, or simply choose a different brand that has one. If you take medicines or have a health condition, a verified product matters even more because a contaminant is a real danger for you. Do not confuse a seal that only says good manufacturing practice with a true third-party test, because the first checks the factory, not the actual pills. If you buy online, the seal must be on the actual product photo, not just claimed in the text. Ask your pharmacist which sealed brands they trust, since they see the evidence every day. And never assume that an expensive or a popular brand has been been tested, because price and testing are simply not the same thing. Pair the seal with everything else on this list and read the whole label in one smooth order. Serving size, then percentage, then form, then warnings, and finally the seal that tells you whether to believe any of it. 5 looks, about 10 seconds, and no medical degree required anywhere. Do them in that order, and the whole panel gives up its secrets in a single pass. So here is the payoff I promised you at the very start. You do not need to understand the chemistry, and you do not need a doctor standing beside you in the aisle. You need to turn the bottle over, read 5 small things, and look for one honest seal. That is how you read a supplement label after 65 and never simply be sold to again. Consider a typical case of the kind seen in pharmacies every single day. A 68-year-old man who bought his supplements by the front of the bottle, drawn to the biggest numbers and the brightest labels. He was taking a megadose multivitamin with 1,000% of several vitamins and a cheap magnesium that upset his stomach. He had never once turned a bottle over to read the back. A pharmacist walked him through the back of each label. Together they found his multivitamin had 10 times the vitamin A he actually needed, and no testing seal at all. They swapped it for a verified product near 100% and changed his magnesium oxide to glycinate. He put 2 other bottles back on the shelf entirely because he simply did not need them. And they checked the warnings against his blood thinner, catching an interaction he had been risking for months. Within a month, his stomach had settled on the gentler magnesium. He was spending less, taking fewer pills, and no longer doubling up on a vitamin that could quietly harm him. The interaction with his blood thinner had been caught before it ever caused trouble. And he never bought another supplement by the front of the bottle again. So here is exactly what to do. And there are only 5 steps. Do them in order on the very next bottle you pick up. Step 1. Turn the bottle over and read the serving size in capsules. Then divide the capsule count by it to find how many days the bottle really lasts. Step 2. Read the percent daily value beside each nutrient. Be suspicious of anything up in the hundreds, especially for the vitamins A, D, E, and K. Step 3. Read the form in the brackets after each nutrient. Choose D3 over D2 and magnesium citrate or glycinate over oxide. Step 4. Read the 2 smallest lines, the warnings box, and the other ingredients against your medication list and your allergies. Step 5. Turn the bottle over and look for one third-party seal, USP, NSF, or Consumer Lab. When 2 products are otherwise equal, choose the sealed one. Think of someone in your life who buys supplements by the pretty front of the bottle, trusting that someone must have checked them. No one did, and they may be paying for pills that do nothing or taking too much of something that harms. Teach them to turn the bottle over, and you may save them both money and trouble. Tell me in the comments the name of one supplement you take and whether it carries a testing seal. Your answers decide exactly what I cover next. And if you want the science that a 12-minute appointment never has room for, subscribe to this channel. That is the entire reason it exists. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. I'm Bennett Thorne. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.